Hey y'all, it's Betsy. So today we're doing my monthly favorites and fails. We're going to talk about the makeup products that I absolutely love versus the ones that did not work for me at all. So without further ado, I guess we'll go ahead and jump into it, and we will start off with the fails category. From absolute worst to what I figure is the absolute best. Now, the absolute worst for me was the Makeup Revolution concealer stick, the fast base. This is terrible, at least for my skin, and I'm sure for other people's skin. It does not stay on the skin well. It settles into fine lines and wrinkles. It kind of feels greasy. It's not a good feeling on the skin, and it just, texture I didn't even know I had, this emphasized. So I definitely wouldn't recommend this at all. It was definitely not my favorite. And it was heavy, but not a good kind of heavy, I guess is the best way to say it. It was heavy, but it really didn't have good coverage, at least not in my opinion. When I put it on, you could still see the red and things like that through my skin. And I've used this thing twice, and you can see how much it already wore down. So I mean, to me, it's not worth the, I think it's $9. It's definitely not worth the $9 for this. So, my second least favorite product, or yeah, I think that's how it goes, is the ColourPop All-Star Face Setting Spray. This is so bad. It smells like hairspray. I don't know if you've ever done this. Like whenever I was a kid, we would go to like Dollar General or Walgreens and get like the spritzy, what is that called? It's not regular hairspray. It was like scrunching spray. You know, I'm a child of the 90s, and we purchased something along these lines. It was typically like Aussie or White Rain or Suave, and it was like a hairspray, but it wasn't aerosol. There was a specific name for it, but I cannot remember what it's called. And so if you remember, let me know down below. But anyways, it smelled so much like alcohol, and it was super duper sticky. And since it wasn't an aerosol, it would get everywhere, and it left a lot of residue versus your regular hairspray. This is like that. It smells really, really, really bad. And I shook it up really well, and it just feels like you're spraying that stuff directly on your face. It doesn't feel like a makeup setting mist. And I have encountered this before. It just definitely isn't my favorite, and it smells like, I mean, it really is. To me, this is just hairspray. I may try to use it as hairspray. I mean, the mister, if you can see, is not good, and it's sticky. It doesn't feel like it's got a tackiness to it. So to me, it just doesn't feel real good. So that is a no-go for me. Another thing that I did not like is I tried out pretty much all of ColourPop's complexion products, and some were hits. The foundation and the concealer I really liked. The primer's okay, but the loose setting powder was not that good. To me, it is not super finely milled, and it's messy. The holes that are in this container are, it makes it where it can escape a lot more. There's no cover protecting it. And I'm gonna put some on my finger so you can kind of see and kind of buff it in. But even on my finger, I'm gonna see if it'll focus on that. And my fingerprint, you can see how it settles into the lines that are on there. And your fingerprints are not typically that deep, and it just emphasizes the texture. So when you're using that, even if you're not baking, to set the under eyes, it does not do anything flattering for your under eyes. And maybe if you have smoother under eyes, but as you start to mature, this is definitely not something I would spend the money on. There are better cheap alternatives. Real RCMA, their no color powder, yes, you have to order it offline, but it's like 12 bucks for 2 ounces of it, is so much better than that. Even the Coty Airspun, I think, is better than that. So just would not recommend those. Now we're gonna start getting into my favorites. Now, one of my big favorites this month was the Emily Noel Makeup Revolution palette. And I didn't put this at the top because there are some issues with it. It's not a perfect palette. It's really, really good. But as you can see, it's got a great color scheme. Part of the issue that I have found with this palette is there's a lot of kick up for it, which typically doesn't bother me, but you do not get a lot of color payoff. You have to build these colors up, which is not that big of a deal, but you cannot, at least that I have found, you cannot get a super pigmented look. So if you want something very sharp and angular, this isn't the type of palette that you'd use. But if you're a beginner or someone who likes soft, ethereal looks, it works really well. And this is what I'm wearing on my eyes, other than I am wearing the Stila Glitter in Wanderlust. That's one of my favorites. So, I mean, it is a very good palette, don't get me wrong. It's just, I have a lot of shadows. There's an eyelash stuck to that. I don't know if you can see it. But I have a lot of eyeshadows that perform a lot better, that are in the same type of price range, like that you can get a really pigmented, bright look, which is like the Juvia's Place. But again, I don't regret purchasing this. I really do enjoy this palette. It is something easy that you can throw on, and you don't have to worry about, oh, I accidentally put on too much color. So again, for someone who's a beginner or someone who just wants something easy but wants to play with color but not intense color, this is definitely a recommend, and that would be how I would recommend it. Now, another thing I absolutely adore this month are the ColourPop Ultra Glossy Lips. I'm not wearing them today, but they are absolutely gorgeous. They are pigmented and shiny. I will show you the colors. This one is Fairy Me. It is a beautiful nude tone. And I've been really trying to get back more into glossier lips with a simpler eye. This shade is Lazy, which is almost right here, is the perfect nude tone. I love that shade. And then obviously is a gorgeous, gorgeous copper for the fall, which all three of these colors work really, really well for the fall. But those are the colors. I adore these. They go on, they last not all day, because they don't dry down, but they last a good while. They don't get on your teeth. They're not too sticky, and they have a huge color selection. Now, those are the three colors I've tried so far. I can't say that they're all gonna be that way, but I did just order the Disney ColourPop collection, so we'll see if the Bippity Boppity and Boo Ultra Glossy Lips I like as much, so we shall see. And then last but not least, these are in the same family, but I adore both of these. I am wearing both of these today, and I have used it quite a bit. The Pineapple Sun Bronzer from the Too Faced Tutti Frutti collection, and Apricot in the Act, that blush. I really haven't messed with the highlighter shades that much. They're kind of chunky and not really that pretty. But the blush has this beautiful glowing peachy shade, and I've gotten back more into a glowy blush. Well, just more glowy everything other than I still like a matte foundation. But there's not really difference in the two highlight shades that are in there. But as you can see, that blush is just a beautiful blush shade, and the bronzer is a gorgeous brownie red. It's not too red though. It's not too cool. It's not too warm. It goes on the skin beautifully. I adore those. So those are my monthly favorites, and these are for new products. If you want to see videos like this with when I'm reusing a lot of my older products, let me know that as well, because I can include some of my older products, because there have been things that I hadn't used in a while that I've really fallen back in love with, like my Hourglass palette and some of those types of things. So just let me know if you're interested in that. Other than that, don't forget to check me out on all my social medias: Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram, my second channel, Cuttin Corners Vinyl, which is actually my main channel. Other than that, I think that's it. So see you later. Bye.